Good morning. How are you? My name is Nicolas Frankovic, a consultant here at Autologica. Thank you for attending another training and course session focused on providing tools, strategies, and tips for the dealership of the future. For those attending for the first time, let me tell you that for 30 years, Autologica has been providing the automotive industry with management software, DMS, which, beyond solving daily departmental issues, has functions and features that anticipate the challenges of each role, streamline processes, save time, and multiply opportunities. With Autologica Sky DMS, you can simplify tasks, design workflows, measure, organize areas and roles, automate manual routines, interact with major manufacturers, and have the entire DMS team as your strategic ally. If you want to learn more after the presentation, we'll be happy to send you information or schedule a live demonstration. One of Autologica's areas is dedicated to training and creating materials to help our clients make the most of DMS benefits. We also focus on specific industry topics, challenges, changes, and trends shaping the future of vehicle dealerships. Last time we discussed services, but this time we'll focus on the parts department. I would like to ask you to start thinking. What concerns you the most about this department? Is it the immobilized stock, traceability of parts, maybe compliance rates, purchasing efficiency, counter sales, workshop sales? Probably one or all of these points are part of the issues you analyze, try to measure, and aim to improve. Incremental improvements in each process, task, and department in the leadership contribute to better results, and the parts department is no exemption. So, what I want to do following the same dynamics as the last webinar is to explore what to measure, what to improve, and different strategies that can be implemented to enhance results. In many cases, especially for Autologica customers, I'll explain how you can address these issues using the DMS. A few months ago, we analyzed some issues in the parts department with a dealership that had been using another system and wanting to streamline each area. Through discussions and assessing the status of the department with the manager, we identify three specific issues to address with the DMS: dealing with immobilized stock, recording lost sales and improving sales, and last but not least, enhancing the compliance rate reported to the manufacturer. When working with stock, it's crucial for the dealership management system to identify parts that have been unsold for a long time and are immobilized in inventory. In this way, the parts manager can not only diagnose and improve the purchasing process, but also take specific actions with those obsolete parts. Generically, parts inventory that hasn't had sales in the last 12 months is considered obsolete, also called immobilized or dead inventory. This also depends on various factors: the industry, seasonal demand for the product, and when a new car model is launched, there's a minimum stock requirement that may not sell for a long time. Many dealerships are surprised when they first measure their obsolete inventory, as it can represent almost 50 to 70% or even more of their total inventory. This is often the result of years of intuitive rather than statistical purchasing. The first reaction is always the same: disbelief. But the numbers don't lie, and understanding this allows the dealership to address the situation with two strategies: decide what to do with obsolete parts and implement better purchasing management. So let me ask you this question: why is it important to detect the trend of parts becoming obsolete? The first thing that comes to mind is opportunity cost. Immobilized inventory is money sitting on the shelves without generating any profit. In other words, it's the opportunity cost of not investing that money elsewhere. Let's see it in an example. Imagine a dealership with a total parts inventory of 1 million, of which half of it, 500,000, is obsolete. Suppose a bank could offer an 18% annual interest rate on deposits. In this case, the dealership incurs an opportunity cost of 90,000 annually due to immobilized inventory. Direct loss. Parts that become obsolete will ultimately have to be scrapped or sold at much lower prices than their cost, resulting in a direct loss. In our example, if the dealership manages to sell the obsolete parts at 50% of their cost, they will incur in a 250,000 loss. And hidden cost. Immobilized inventory entails various direct costs, such as insurance, rent for warehouse space. Even if the warehouse is owned by the dealership, this cost must be considered. Taxes and the time lost each time inventory is counted. So, as part of seeking solutions to the problem of immobilized stock, we've come up with a three-step plan. Step number one, know the real state of stock. Any strategic measure requires foundational information to understand where you stand. By using reports, the leadership could find out how the part stock was composed based on the activity and age of each part, which parts were obsolete and could be offered at the discount, and which parts were obsolete in one store but still in demand in another, allowing for transfers. Step number two, take measures to clean up inventory. Once the parts manager understood what was happening in the department, they took action to maintain a healthy stock, avoid overstock, prevent stockouts, and satisfy 100% of customer demand. To maintain a profitable stock, the parts manager began paying attention to the number of orders pending delivery to customers, the reasons for lost sales at the counter, real time stock at each store to determine if transfers were needed to meet demand, and last but not least, the compliance rate to compare parts demand and available stock. And step number three, prevent recurring issues. So, after knowing the stock status and taking corrective measures, the parts manager started daily analysis of department indicators to detect deviations in time. Autologica DMS offers functions that, through statistical data analysis related to recurring stock movements, calculate and suggest purchases to maintain an ideal stock level. Alright, it's time now to talk about lost sales. We've been reading analysis from companies that year after year examine the most common reasons for lost sales. For instance, among these reasons, they list poor customer service, lack of personalization, failure to convey value, prices, slow response times, lack of trained salespeople, and overpromising and underdelivering. So, think about what the most common reason for lost sales is in your dealerships. So far this month, were sales lost due to price? Maybe. Did you run out of stock? Was it due to service? Well, regardless of what exactly the reason was, you have to consider three scenarios. If you know exactly the most frequent reason was, then you are probably already working on an action plan to reduce the negative impact. This will be an ideal scenario, the one we want all of our customers to take advantage of, with the features offered by the DMS and Autologica BI dashboards. On the other hand, if you know you can measure it, but it's not a frequent task, you're one step away from incorporating a habit that will improve the dealership's results. What isn't measured can't be improved. It's just a matter of implementing a routine to ask why sales fell and try to understand the story behind each case. And finally, if it's data that you don't analyze because you don't have the tools to do so, you are working in the dark, basically. So there's no way to know the real reason. Perhaps you can only rely on intuition or experience, but in the long run, this is not a scalable and sustainable practice. Salespeople were trained to know more about each product, to have tools to understand each customer's needs, and techniques and conveniences were implemented to ensure a good customer experience. So, did the reason for a bad experience or poor service repeat? As well, the value of an original part was correctly transmitted as a service performed by trained experts, and the conveniences and safety of a particular brand's model effectively conveyed. Did the price issue repeat? And channels were implemented to respond to any inquiries through different options and new channels, and the importance of not leaving inquiries and questions unanswered was emphasized. Were sales lost due to lack of response? Finally, another issue this dealership had was not achieving the compliance rate, they had set as a goal. It's important to note that for their OEM, if a customer requested several parts with the same code and only a portion of the demand could be met, it will be considered 0% compliance. Therefore, there was a high demand. The compliance rate compares the demand for parts with our available stock. For example, if a customer requests 10 different parts and we can only sell them 6, we have a 60 compliance rate with that customer and in that sale. This value can mean, among other reasons, that they were only offered 6 because there was no more in stock out. They were only offered 6, but the system showed 10. That means organization problems or lack of part traceability. And the customer only wanted 6 because the price was high. The parts department staff will likely offer the customer to order the missing 4 from the supplier to retain them and avoid losing the sale. Generally, this is one of the reasons for increased emergency purchases. However, if they don't want the part, basically that sale is lost. Digging deeper, we found that the problem was the low fill rate, large quantities and amounts of dead inventory or obsolete parts, and the high rate of emergency purchases. So, Autologica solution, the DMS has an order suggestion function that, based on sales statistics, calculates the quantity and type of parts that should be purchased to have efficient stock. This helps avoid overstock and reduce slow-moving parts. In addition to this, Autologica SkyDMS interfaces with the dealership's brand to automate these suggestions directly from the OEM. In this way, in just a few clicks, we went from a complex problem to obtaining the necessary information for the best stock. All right, we'll dedicate this last moment to review other indicators that we didn't analyze, but you'll see that they are very useful, and in all cases, if you work with Autologica SkyDMS or Autologica BI, the analytics platform, you'll be able to start measuring them. If you don't use these products, you can still benefit from the information. So, the ones we already mentioned, reasons for lost sales, stock activity, and compliance rate. Let's go with some that can be added to the set of indicators. Gross margin and net margin for part sales, sales by store and by salesperson, parts ABC. Autologica allows parts managers to focus on parts management to implement effective policies. There are many important criteria available: sales, cost, demand, inventory, etc. If you can detect the most important group of parts based on the chosen criteria, you can make better decisions. The ABC is based on an empirical law, the Pareto principle, or the 80-20 rule, or few of much and many of little. It has generally been observed that a small group of parts, for example in leaderships, say 20%, account for 80% of sales. Focusing on managing this more group, manager group, is what should be done to handle the fewer, more significant parts for sales. Stock movement versus billing, um, pending customer orders. This is useful to know what needs to be delivered to customers. In fact, Autologica has a feature that, when placing an order, allows you to add pending orders when parts are received, it communicates them automatically. And last but not least, sales by parts family. There are more indicators that can be measured. If you are interested in the topic and would like to know more, you can mention it in the survey that will pop up when we finish this webinar for us to contact you and provide more information. Okay, that's it for today's session. If you are interested in the topic, please let us know, and in future sessions, we can continue to work on the reports and data generated by Autologica Sky DMS. I remind you that it is very important for us that you could complete the survey so that we can learn more about your opinion of each course we organized. Additionally, if you want to know more about Autologica Sky DMS, you can indicate it there for us to schedule and a specific demonstration for you. Thanks again for attending. I hope you found the course valuable for you, and we'll see you in the next session. Have a nice day.